So I recently picked up a Nikon ZF. This is a Nikon ZF, and it is very different to anything that I've taken on before, because usually I'm talking about video stuff. That's kind of been the main focus of this channel, is videography. But 2025 has kind of just been the year of photography for me. I'm trying to get back into it, and this little camera really interested me. I thought it was super interesting as a little photography daily camera. And one of the things I just love about it is the feel. I mean, obviously, you can see on here I've added a couple of things. So it doesn't come with this wooden handle. This is by Small Rig, which just has a little Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. Going back to this sort of vintage vibe, I think a lot of people, I don't know why, and like I know this doesn't necessarily matter, but the feel and the vibe of the camera, right? The way that it makes you feel as you're taking the photos is really important. That's why people love cameras like Leicas or Hasselblads and stuff like that. Yes, of course, the image quality is also fantastic, but also just the way that the camera makes you feel as you hold it and as you take pictures is super important. And this old film style body, I think, just kind of, it just did something for me, and it was super exciting. Also, a video for another time, but recently Megadap came out with this. This is an adapter for Sony E-mount glass to go on to Nikon Z cameras, which means I can take all of my Sony lenses and put them on here without any problems, which I'll make a video about that hopefully next week. So if you want to see that, do hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell, so that way you'll be notified of whenever that comes out. But this camera just did it for me as far as photography goes. And one of the things I love about it is that the image quality and everything out of it is beautiful, right? These are just a bunch of photos that I took as I was out in Ireland and a few here back home, and just going out and using this camera, you can just get some really nice images. Now, one of my absolute favorite things, as you can probably see, is the black and white mode. It's got a little switch here between a regular photo mode and like a monochrome black and white mode, which means you can just get these beautiful black and white photos, and I just think that it's gorgeous. So for me, I purchased this camera because I want to do more photography, not necessarily professionally, although I am doing a little bit more than I had done previously, but more so, I just want to enjoy cameras. That's like the whole point of this channel, is to like try and motivate people to enjoy the craft of photography and to get out there and just take photos, to get out there and shoot some videos and just do something with your cameras rather than just buy and then just let them sit on shelves. And this camera is kind of doing that for me, I have to admit, especially with this little 40mm. I really like the 40mm that came with it. The image quality is really quite nice out of it. It's quite filmic, quite a desirable look out of it. Now I have to say, I'm a little disappointed that the mount of this lens is like fully plastic, right? It's not a very well built lens. It looks nice, but outside of that, it's not like the best made lens in the world, but I do really like it. Now I did take this out, and we were down at the beach in Ireland, and the 40mm lens already it got a little bit of sand in here. I don't know if you can hear that, but the focus ring got super crunchy. So not, I'm using it for autofocus anyway, but I just thought I'd mention that because this lens, it's just not built well, but the image quality is really nice and it is cheap, so that's always good. Now, most other cameras at a sort of lower end price point are starting to remove EVFs, and that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about this camera, is the EVF is super nice. It's a really bright, really high quality. I don't think it's the highest quality in the world, but a lot of the times I actually just leave the screen closed and I'm using the viewfinder just to try and get back into that old style of taking photos rather than just staring at a screen, which almost all of my other cameras that I've used and talk about here on the channel don't have EVFs. So that's just been kind of refreshing. And one thing that I think I've found about this is the camera, the way that it's designed, having to use these dials and sort of look at things and dial everything in correctly and decide if I want to be in black and white or regular photography mode. And I've almost been exclusively shooting in JPEGs just because I could. One of the things that this has kind of forced me to do is it's just caused me to slow down a little bit as I'm taking my photos. It's less of a spray and pray kind of camera. Now you could take this to a wedding or sports events and it would do a great job, but this has made me want to just slow down and just take one photo. It's just made me want to just get that single capture and try to get it all in camera, kind of like it's a film camera. Obviously it's not, but it makes you feel like you want to do that, which just makes you a little bit more intentional with your shots. Also, the shutter on this camera sounds great. So to me, this is definitely, it's a fun camera, and I've been using it mainly for photography. Now, that doesn't mean that the video specs are bad. You can get some great video out of this. And the image stabilization I found to be surprisingly good. I wasn't particularly careful with it. There was no digital stab, just normal stabilization without any lens stabilization. And I was able to do a couple of little vloggy type videos that are on the channel, all recorded on this camera. And I think they turned out really, really nice. And you know, it's not crazy. It's not Lumix standard of image stabilization, but it's good. And that's the thing that I think I've just found about this camera is just all around, it's just good, right? There's not really any major flaws for this camera, in my opinion, that I've used so far. Obviously, your mileage might differ because every photographer's needs are different. But everywhere that it has a shortcoming, it makes up for it in some capacity. Like, one of the things that I think people were concerned about is it has one SD card slot in the bottom here. It's just got a single SD card slot. But to make up the difference, because they couldn't fit another SD card in there, they put a micro SD card, which granted isn't like the best thing in the world. But I just think it's great that they at least give you something, right? So you can record raw photos to your main SD card. And with your micro SD card, you could just throw a bunch of JPEGs, right? And just you can get a terabyte of micro SD for like $80, which just gives you all of that redundant photo capability that if you want to have dual card slots, you can kind of do it in this camera. And I know some people don't like that, but I just thought that was kind of genius. It feels like a lot of other companies are like, we'll just give them one, they'll be fine. No, this one they did go out of their way to give them two. Now, the other thing about this camera for me is actually the price. I got this on the used market and the shutter count was only at 1,500, which is very low. I got this for $1,450 after taxes with the lens. That's the same price as an A6700, which is this camera right here. This camera with a lens cost me the same as that camera body did. And it's APS-C, single card slot. It's totally different purpose, but I thought it was just interesting to say that you can get a camera like this for the same price as that one up there. Now, as for the body, I think they've done a really good job of making this in a way that sort of emulates those old film cameras. I would recommend getting a grip. It does make a big difference just to the sort of the experience of holding the camera. Otherwise, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. But the camera feels great. It's not actually as heavy as I thought it was going to be. Now, once you add the grip and put the battery in and everything, it's a decently heavy camera, but it's nothing crazy. And the feel of the camera is just really, really nice. All of these dials and buttons and stuff just feel really, really, really good. I love this big screen. The screen just feels huge. I don't know if it actually is any bigger, but it just feels really big. Again, most of the time I have that tucked away. And it just feels nice in the hands. Now, obviously, this camera does have autofocus, and the autofocus performance is phenomenal. It is really, really top notch. And I can't think of any moments that I was taking photos with this camera where it just wouldn't focus or it would miss and stuff like that. It did a really, really good job. I don't think it's quite at Sony standards, but I think it is more than capable and more than good enough for any shooter to use. Almost all companies nowadays, their autofocus is just top notch. Obviously, Sony are still sort of leading the market in that, but you know, the difference from Sony to this is not much. Also now with the fact that I can put all of my Sony lenses on this camera with basically no loss in autofocus quality, that's pretty great for me. But anyway, I thought I'd just share a bunch of the photos and my experience of shooting with this camera here recently because it's just been fun. And I kind of want to know what your thoughts are about like the current state of cameras. How are you feeling about things? And how do you feel about just cameras that are designed just for fun and stuff that, it just makes you want to go out and shoot, which this camera has really done for me. I know I said that about the Lumix S9 as well, but this has taken that to a whole other level. This just stays with me in my new little camera bag all the time. Like I literally, I'm taking this everywhere and I'm always pulling it out just to, snap little shots, which I think is just always a good sign for a camera whenever it makes you want to take photos. But obviously, I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Nikon ZF, what you think about the photos. Give me some pointers on how how you think I should improve my photography, because mainly a video guy, just getting into more photos. And if you've enjoyed the video, do hit the like button, drop a comment down below, or maybe even subscribe as we continue to build this channel. I appreciate all of you for doing so, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.